Oh,
Yeah.
Go the Extra Mile with Sanctuary for Kids.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fan initiative. Jen Shetler started that, right? Is Jen here?
Yeah.
Jen Keeley. Did you guys start that?
Yeah.
Keeley started it.
Keeley always started
What a
it.
freaking crack over there. The great thing about Sanctuary for Kids is that so much of the money that we raise is because of fan initiatives. Be it the swear jar. We get a lot of money from the swear jar, I gotta say. Or biathlon for S4K, or fishing for S4K, and now this, Go the Extra Mile with S4K. And what we're asking people to do in the month of July, although we cheated and did it in June, because we were all together, is go on a walk, 1K, 2K, 5K, whatever you can. Donate some money to S4K. Send us your pictures of you on the walk. We have T-shirts for sale on the website, and it's basically just, it's a nice. There's a lot of marathons or 5K runs for charity, but this was just a nice. Go at your own pace, walk where you love to walk, send us pictures of the beautiful places that you go to, do it with your friends and family, have a great day out, and send us your photos and your money. But it's one of the initiatives, and I got it all right, am I missing anything?
Sort of.
Perfect.
It's a Redbubble site that you get the t-shirts from.
Oh, the Redbubble site that you get a t-shirt from, but there's a link from our site to the Redbubble site, is there not?
Yeah,
It's on the leaflet.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a leaflet. So there's a leaflet with a link to a Redbubble site.
It's on the community page.
And it's on the community, so there is information on the website.
Somewhere. We said we were going to heckle.
You are heckling. Yes. These are the people that are running the Sanctuary for Kids booth. Heckling me. What should I do? I just discovered my imaginary friend. All weekend. So check out the community page on the website, or better yet, make a right when you leave the room and pick up a pamphlet from the Sanctuary for Kids booth on your way to the washroom, or on your way back, whatever is more. Okay, anyway, hi.
Marty, can you tell us about
Directing
Continuum?
Ooh. Continuum, I love it. I love directing that show. It's a very complex show in terms of its mythology. For those, has anyone seen? Yeah. So it's a show that you kind of have to watch from the very beginning in order to understand what's happening episode to episode. So I was asked in season 2 to submit my directing stuff, my shows, and I went for an interview. It went really well. I knew most of the crew. It was great. I was super excited. And then they sent me the first season. And I was like, whoa. And I was hooked. It was 10 episodes, and I was just like, oh my God, I was hooked. And then I was directing very late in season 2, their 12th episode, so I was given all the scripts. Because you have to, in order to understand what's happening, you have to know everything for every character. So it's very complicated in terms of its mythology. But it is, it's a really fun show to work on. It's got a great cast. They really like each other. They really gel. There's a nice vibe. It felt very much like the Stargate family to me in the way that this cast interacts with each other. Massively talented. And I work with an amazing crew. So I love working on Continuum. Now this is season 3. I did 2 episodes back to back for them. And we shot what we call Outside of the Zone, which means that Continuum was one of those rare and awesome shows that shoots in downtown Vancouver. So for those of us who work in the film industry in Vancouver, that is a luxury that never happens because it's so expensive to shoot there. But my shows, I had 8 days outside of the zone, which meant I was going up to Squamish, I was going out into the valley, out in Aldergrove. I was like driving an hour and a half every day, each way, to get to my locations. But one of them was this quarry in Squamish. And we shot one day, it was really cold and windy, but it looked great. And then the next day we had half day, half night. So I think crew call was 10 o'clock. And I got to set about 9 o'clock, and there was this massive windstorm that had blown up during the night, and half of my set had blown away. The catering tent had completely collapsed. The caterers couldn't open the flap on the truck, so they were handing burritos at the door of the truck, and everyone was running around like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, what are we going to do? It was also, of course, the day that Techno Tapping had decided to bring in her 50-foot techno cranes. And, we didn't really have 50-foot techno cranes that day, but we had a 27-foot jib arm crane, which I couldn't even get up in the air because it was so windy. It was ridiculous. So basically, I was told, you can't use the cranes, you can't put the actors on those ridge lines, which were going to look really cool to walk because it's too windy. You've got to pull your set together. Thank goodness it was a crash site, so it didn't matter that it was more smashed up than it was when I left the night before, but still, half of it had gone into the, into the quarry. And so everything that I had planned, I couldn't do. So I called the producer, really, this is where I'm super proud of myself. I called the producer and I went, okay, so this is happening, so I'm just going to change my shots around. And she said, well, maybe we can get into this other location. You could go back to the quarry. And I'm like, no, we're going to make this day. You're going to make this day. And I felt like I had to prove something, if only to myself. And so what started out in my mind as sort of a very obvious homage to Lord of the Rings became more Planet of the Apes. So there we go, sweeping shots along ridge lines. I was in like a quarry with dirt and wind blowing, and it was super cold. There was this scene where Rachel's character dips a canteen into this pool of water. It had frozen overnight. So it was like there was, you couldn't. So she's like, what do I do with the canteen? And I'm, forget about the canteen. We just walk and talk. So yeah, it was good fun. But then I love that kind of challenge. And the fact that the entire crew rose up to that challenge. It was nighttime. We finally got one of the cranes up in the air. We were doing all this burning crash scene at night. And it was super cool, but the ground was uneven. People were freezing. I was wearing the same coat that I wore. Just gave myself a little weekend. But it's good. It worked. He was wearing the same parka that I wore in the Arctic that day.
What was Rachel wearing? Her suit, probably?
Her suit?
Yeah, right.
No, actually what I had done, because I'm smart this way, and I've been in her position, is I had costumes, because I knew we were going to be shooting outside, I had costumes built her a new jacket and set of pants that they could line, that was warmer, and it's sort of a variation on the suit.
Okay.
So it looked a little tougher, more like a motorcycle outfit.
You're in California.
This is just random romantic. But I wanted to make sure that she was warm and comfortable. Now, she was still freezing, don't get me wrong, but she was warmer than she would have been. So, and she was a trooper. They all, Mike Goped, who plays Jaworski, he was a total trooper. Everyone was great. So the next day, I gathered the crew around, and I just was so thankful that everyone rallied and just said it was some of the coolest footage I'd ever shot. So
has that aired yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you missed it, so thanks for watching.
No, I probably watched it, but just didn't realize that was
I just
one.
didn't notice how cool it was.
We missed the
It's so confusing. If you miss one of those episodes, it just gets a little
Just
hectic.
don't miss any of mine. It's that simple.
Blu-ray will be out soon. Sad face.
Next.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience at the North Pole and filming up there?
A little bit, like just, you'll have to shut me up. You'll have to go, that's enough. We've heard enough, Amanda. Please stop talking. Well, for those of you that haven't, is there more to the question? Because I can just talk forever.
I was just going to say, Ben Browder said that, you had to have the buddy system, and that he quickly said, I want Amanda, until he found out what had to happen if he got stuck through a pole.
Right.
And then he said, no, that's okay.
Yeah. The buddy system, you have to have a buddy. Because if somebody goes through the ice, you haul them out, hopefully, as quickly as humanly possible. They have to strip down. You have to take all their wet clothes off, strip them down, and the buddy, whoever your buddy is, also has to take all their clothes off and get into a tight sleeping bag, so their body heat warms you up.
Sounds like.
So I don't know why Ben Browder changed his mind. Because I was more than happy with that buddy. I threw myself into the ice. But Brenda, the hairdresser, ended up being my buddy, which would have been fine too. But so that was the buddy system, and everyone had a buddy. We also had a polar bear watch buddy. So if you were doing, everyone had to be bear aware, because polar bears have been spotted about 14 miles out of the can, and that was close enough for them to smell what we had for breakfast on our breath. You know what I mean? Like, they just have the most incredible sense of smell. And to them, we are basically upright seals. That's what we were told. So we had this meeting, and forgive me if you've heard the story, but we had this safety meeting with the guys from Atlas, which is the Applied Physics Laboratory Ice Station, guys from the Navy, and they come to the Stargate offices, and we're all sitting around a boardroom, and it's a very skeletal crew that's going on, because we're piggybacking on the Atlas lab. And they say, okay, these are all the ways you can die in the Arctic. So first of all, frostbite is a real issue. You constantly have to be aware and check each other. And it happened with our director of photography, Pete Wester. I looked at him and I was like, Pete, your nose is getting white. And so he needed to cover up. Like, we just had to watch each other all the time. You had like hoarfrost in your eyelashes. And anyway, I digress. So frostbite, very real concern. Polar bear eating, very real concern. And he said it so nonchalantly. He's like, basically you're an upright seal. And we're all like, falling through the ice. If our ice camp, which was on a moving ice floe, broke away, or part of the camp broke away, that's an issue and you're stranded. They told us how many calories we had to eat a day just to make sure that we kept our body heat up. If you have to go to the washroom in the middle of the night, or to the pit of hell in the middle of the night, which you really never wanted to do, you had to do this eye scan with your flashlight along the horizon, looking for any flashes coming back at you, which would be the polar bears, or the Arctic foxes, or wolves, or whatever, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, wanted to eat you. So you had to do the eye scan and make sure nothing came back, pitch black, and then stumble your way to the pit of hell. So then you could die. Basically, it was like you could die. And then when we got to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, they gave us a pamphlet that said how to survive in the Arctic. It was, again, all the ways you could. So we're on a plane. There's no turning back. We've left Prudhoe Bay. We're flying 2 hours over the ice in this little plane. And they go, oh, by the way, here. And Ben Browder, I have pictures of Ben Browder, and I like, because Ben's like, hey, man, it took page 3. Oh, awesome. That's another way we could die, Ben. Great. But I loved every second of it. Everyone banded together. We were part of the crew. So and part of the crew, by that I mean part of the crew that's up there at the Applied Physics Laboratory Ice Station, who so graciously allowed us to work on their turf, and the U.S. Navy, who so graciously allowed us to work with them. We were on KP duty. We had to go to the ice mine and chip ice and put it in a sled and haul it back to camp, and then that was your drinking water. We lived in little hooches, 8 by 8 by 20 foot long plywood boxes, where we had a propane heater and a pot on top of it. That's how that's where we'd stick our ice and dump our water. It was crazy. It was fantastically crazy. And there was one day where the wind was howling so much, and it was minus 58, and they said, well, we can't shoot today. We were only up there for a few days, like 5 days, I think, and so it was like, well, we can't shoot. That's a whole day of shooting we can't do. But you ate lunch in this tent. It was like the tent from MASH. It's like, and you hear the helicopter, and we all start singing the theme song. We got to our sets by helicopter, and that's where they also lift this warming hut over. Or we went by snowmobile. That was also very fun. And at the same time we were there were members of the Royal Navy, because they had a submarine in the water there, and the U.S. Navy. And then the U.S. Navy said, we will bring a nuclear submarine up through the ice for your movie, and you can come down and shoot inside the nuclear submarine. We were like, what? So then, of course, there's a quick call to the Air Force going, the Navy's giving us a nuclear submarine, what do you got? We'll give you 2 F-16s. Let's see what they've got. Competition between the Navy and the Air Force, that was quite quite fun. It worked very well. Yeah, it was amazing. But I've never had such clarity of thought. There's no electronic signals. There's no electric pollution up there. There's no pollution whatsoever, but there's no, we're constantly bombarded by cell phone signals and microwaves, and, we're getting fried as we speak. So that's fun. But that's not one of the ways you can die in the air. Yeah, there's nothing up there. So I had such clarity of thought. I slept better than I'd ever slept. It was amazing. I
Might not get up.
It will take, I'll miss my flight. It'll be crazy. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, hi.
Hi. Why did you start the charity for kids?
Why did I start it? Does everyone know Maya? She is making bracelets for us, for Sanctuary. Yeah! 8 years old, incredible child, making bracelets and selling them for Sanctuary for Kids. Because I have a daughter, and because I realized that she is going to grow up in a safe, secure environment where she is well loved and nourished, and that not all kids have that opportunity. And I also started it because we realized the incredible fan base that is sci-fi fans. And it had to be about children, and it was very near and dear. Damien, Jill Bodie, and myself, we started it and wanted to do something for children in crisis. And we realized that this fan base is unlike any other fan base. And again, forgive me if you've heard me say this before, but I am constantly blown away by how generous and supportive you guys are, not only of our charities, but of each other. And I've never met a more socially connected, socially aware, generous, self-effacing, wonderfully quirky, beautiful group of people. And so we wanted to harness that kind of energy that you guys bring to these conventions and that you bring to each other, and that passion that you have. And we could never have imagined that it would make. To date, we made about $650,000. Or in donations from, yeah. Now, that sounds a lot to a big charity, but when $10,000 changes the entire nutrition of an orphanage, you know that $650,000 is a big deal. And so, we wanted to harness this energy and this generosity, and then we had no idea that the grassroots initiative that we were trying would have gone as far as it has, which is why one of our key phrases is little ripples make big waves, and we just had no idea how prophetic that would actually be. We started it because of the fans. Thank you.
First off, I want to say Samantha Carter is like my inspiration to lose weight and join the Air Force.
Right on.
I grew up with Stargate because of my mom's boyfriend, and it was an inspiration to me. But I just struggled my way through Heroes Part 1 and Part 2 when Janet died. And I wanted to know, what was your reaction when you found out Carol was leaving the show?
I think I was in shock, and I kept thinking that it would be like an ascension deal. Like, how many times did Michael die on the show? 6. She'll come back. And then we became aware that that wasn't going to be the case. It was really weird, because we're all close. But then it was like, we didn't know what to say to her. We didn't know what to say to each other. And I remember Michael, Chris, and I went into Terrell's trailer, and we just sort of all sat there, and I think we all had a bit of a cry, and then we all sort of talked about what was going to come next for her, and it was weird. It was very strange. But there were scenes where there was zero acting required. I think one of the scenes for me that sticks out is when Carter's running down or coming at full tilt down the hallway crying, and she snaps at the guy, the filmmaker, and she just loses it on him. And that to me was like, I didn't have to act.
And then when she
Not that I'm ever that mean, but I was upset.
And then when she came back for Ripple Effect, and you only had like one scene with her.
I know.
I was kind of disappointed because I
I
was
just
like,
do.
you and her had, because I was looking at the backstage scenes from my this set.
Yeah.
But how was your feeling when she came back
pissed that I only had one scene with her. We hung out on set, but I was like, come on. This is Janet and Carter. Give us something. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else. I have children, doesn't
Okay, so I recently watched a show called Motive.
Motive.
Yes, and there was this really creepy lady in it, and she reminded me of you. Is that really?
That is so weird. Huh.
No, for real though. I thought really hard to do because, like, personality-wise, with all the other shows you've done, it was a little different.
You know, here's the story behind Motive. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Yeah, okay, but if you haven't, it's a cool show. It's a cool conceit. The show starts with telling you who the killer is, who the victim is, and then the cops have to figure out, and the story sort of works backwards as to, and then they find out. So I got asked to do the season finale at the end of season 2, and so I was super excited because it's a local show, and I love the people on it, and I knew Louie and I knew Kristen, so I was like, yeah, I'd love to. They said, well, we'll send you the script, and see what you think. And I was like, no, I'm in, don't worry about it. Lesson number 1. Read the script before saying yes to anything. Some agents are like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, it's Motive. It's like, I know these guys. Come on, yeah. John Lennox was producing from Stargate. James Thorpe was one of our writers on Sanctuary. He's one of the producers. Rob Merrilees was a producer on Space Milkshake. So I was like, yeah. And I got the script. And I played this psychotic, manipulative, pedophile psychologist.
Was that a stretch?
Was that?
Was that a stretch?
It was a bit of a stretch. No, not at all. It's super easy. No acting required. I said, what a typecast again. And I was reading through it and I was like, oh, she's awful. Ooh. And then I had to kiss this like teenager. Okay, you know what? It's a good stretch for you, Amanda. This is something completely different. I wrote a whole backstory for the character about her abusive childhood. And so when they go back to the farm at the end, which is the farm that she lives on. Isaac is the farm that she grew up on. And in my mind, I had created not anything that would justify what this woman did. It was bad. But in her mind, would justify. The audience would still think she was the creepiest woman on television, and that's cool. So then we started filming, and the young man, Chris Mason, is a British actor who they've flown over, and he was playing American in Canada. So weird. And we got to the scene where we had to do the kiss, and it's so creepy, but she's sitting there, she's like, so tell me, he's troubled. She's like, so tell me some of your, let's talk about this. And then she leans over and then she kisses him, and then you see her hand slide out of frame. And so we're both like rehearsing, but not really, we're rehearsing the kiss, like doing this. And so just before the director yelled action, I said, what are we going to do? And he said, I don't know. And I said, okay, I'm just going to have to kiss you. And he's like, okay. He says, I grew up watching Don't Starve. Okay, great. And then it was just one of those where I had to leave my body, float around above the set for a little while, let the scene happen. Yeah. It was so weird.
Thanks. I had nightmares for like 2 weeks after that.
What's that?
I had nightmares for 2 weeks after that.
My favorite color is puce. Or vermilion, just because it sounds great.
I have to say, I knew what a great actress you are when you creeped me out that much after I loved you so much as Carter and Magnus. And then I got awesome.
Yeah.
But my question is about Nerd Corner. How did you do her so perfectly? You were fantastic. I mean, the geek was always there. And how did you do it? Did you
Sorry, I missed part of the question.
You turned into another character when you were Nerd Carter.
Oh.
The Geek Carter.
Geeky
Oh,
Carter.
Geeky Carter.
Yeah.
That was so easy.
How did you do it? It's awesome.
Part of it was costume. Part of it was Michael and I just geeking off each other. It was just so funny, the two of us. Every time we looked at each other, we burst out laughing. But I had started, when I left theater school, I started in comedy. It's like, do it again. So I was really excited to play that version of Carter, the super geeky version of Carter. And it was the end of season 8. Is that right? Yeah.
Part 1 and part 2.
I was pregnant, and I was just starting the show, and so it was perfect because I got to wear big cardigans, and so I very distinctly remember being in pure bliss because I was pregnant. I was about to get time off to get more pregnant, or bigger, and I don't think you get more pregnant, but you get. I'm more pregnant than I was yesterday. And I was just in a blissed out little bubble. So I had so much fun. I have very fond memories of that, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that I was pregnant and feeling really good. But Peter DeLuise directed that. And there's a scene where we're in the boat with Jack, and he makes us put on the life preservers, or the life jackets. And so we see the life jackets, regular, put them on, sit them on life jackets. And we start to do that, and Peter goes, no. And he pulls out the old school life jackets, the dorkiest life jackets ever. Sandwich board type life jackets. And he's like, this is what you're going to wear. And I was like, oh. And we had so much fun. We laughed our heads off. And even Rick, who was trying not to laugh, especially when we were trying to get the life jackets off, it was funny.